Hey guys, so I was just eating and I had some thoughts come through my mind and I just kind of wanted to speak about it. And I was thinking about our souls, right? Because we're soul beings having a human experience, right? And souls are limitless and souls never die, right? We're all energy. Souls, I think the best way to describe a soul would be energy. And the truth is, we are all energy. Every single living thing is energy here. We're all like a big network of energy connecting with each other. Here's a perfect example. Have you ever wondered why someone's been on your mind, right? And when that person's on your mind, all of a sudden they'll call you or they'll text you, or you'll call or text them. They said, "Hey, you were just on my mind. I was about to message you. I was about to check on you." And you think, well, that's kind of interesting. Why did that happen? Or how you have dreams of people or visions of people or things like deja vu or epiphanies, just different strange, events happening where it's like, okay, now why did that happen? Like, how did that happen? How did this person, all of a sudden message me when I'm thinking about them? How did that happen, right? Or how about for the simple fact that, when women spend a lot of time with each other, sometimes their menstrual cycles can link up. Now, I'm no doctor. I don't know all the facts of all of that, but I find it quite interesting that humans can be around each other and start to sync up. Their habits can start to sync up. Different things can start to sync up with each other. I just think it's quite interesting how that happens. But we're energy, right? We're all energy and we're all connected. But when you start thinking of yourself as a soul being instead of just human, and when you start thinking of yourself as energy, this infinite energy that's beyond this physical vehicle, because that's what it is. It's a physical vessel that it's our vehicle. This is how souls are able to live out this human life. This is how souls are able to experience Earth. When you start thinking about it that way, you start to look at death quite differently, right? You start thinking about maybe even other planets differently, right? You start thinking about the things that are unknown and hidden. When you think about mediums and psychics and people who have different clair gifts and people who have prophetic dreams and all types of different gifts, right? A lot of people, they don't believe in stuff like that. And mind you do have people who will scam you for it. You will have people who actually have the gift and maybe it's just not so balanced or they don't know what the hell they're doing. Me. Because honestly, I don't know. I'm not someone who knows how to use the experiences or the gifts that I have. Like the experiences I've dealt with and the gifts that I have, I don't know really how to control it, where there are some mediums and psychics who can say, oh well, I know how to control this, I know how to shut this down, I know how to some people know when to not communicate with different beings and how to shut different parts, I guess, of themselves down, like to protect their energy field and their aura. I know that's going to sound very confusing for some people, but some people know how to block their energy field from different things that are happening outside of them. And it doesn't stop their gifts. They just know how to protect their energy better. And I'm someone who's learning how to protect my energy better, if that makes sense. That's going to throw some people off. But if you are a psychic or a medium, you know what I'm talking about, okay? But some people are very aware of their gifts and how to work them and how to use them when they need to use them. Like, for example, they had this medium, he was very well known. I forgot his name, but he would have shows or like different, I guess, tours where he'd go and be speaking at like a like on a platform, right? And then people will be sitting around and he can call them out and say, hey, this is so and so's trying to communicate with you and so-and-so's trying to communicate with you. I forgot his name, but he was really known for doing that. And that's what I mean by control. He has control over his gifts, where he can just tell you right away, hey, this person wants to tell you this and this happened to you here and all that. Some people are really aware, okay, or more open. I don't know the right term for it. But the reason why I'm mentioning all of this is because when you start thinking about these people who claim to have abilities and gifts, and people who've had, near-death experiences, people who've had just different things happen where they swear there's so much more, than just living and being a human, you start to really think like, okay, if we're energy, maybe there's something to this. If we're soul beings living in a human body, maybe there is more to this, journey and this experience. If you think about it, if we are energy, it shouldn't be so hard to communicate with other souls, even if they aren't in their physical form, right? So the whole point is, a lot of people feel that when you die, you die. Some people believe in hell, some people believe in heaven, some people believe there's multiple dimensions, some people believe that when you die, that's all there is. And I just think that it's interesting because, of course, if you have a different, religious belief system, you have to somewhat believe that you are a solar spirit, right? No matter what religious belief system you're in, you have to believe that in some type of way, right? Whether you're, into Hinduism or Buddhism, Christianity. I'm forgetting, there's another one that I want to mention. Oh my God. I don't know about Islam, what their beliefs are, but I'm gonna sound so stupid there. I forgot what that's called. Judaism, but there's something else. There was this other belief system that I want to mention, but it just slipped my mind. But the whole point, the reason I'm bringing all that up is you have to believe you're a soul of some sort, right? In order to believe in a higher being, a higher, entity, whether that's God, whether that's, the Holy Spirit, whether that's Buddha or Krishna, you get what I'm saying? You have to believe in some type of higher being, so you would have to imagine that you're a soul. So that's just, I'm just thinking out loud, you guys. So I was thinking to myself, if people believe that, but yet they separate the fact that, hey, if you're a soul and if you believe in something that's higher, a higher being, why do you continue to keep yourself boxed in when you are energy and you're a higher soul being? A lot of people, they just don't, maybe people just don't think about it, right? They get tongue tied. They get caught up in the world, and everything going on in the world that maybe some people don't think about, what if there's more to life, right? Or what if there's more to this soul experience? What if it's not just a human experience, but what if it's a soul experience, And we often look at people like, oh my God, they're able to communicate with the dead, or oh my God, they said they received a message from this person who's been gone for decades. Oh my God, they had a dream or a vision of this person and this person isn't here. Or they had a dream or vision that this was going to happen to somebody. And this, how does this happen? Is this true? Is this not true? Is this person insane? What is going on, right? But when you really think about it, if we're all energy and we're all soul beings, and if the soul never dies, you can still communicate with each other. You're just not in the physical body, right? Because you're still a network of energy. You're still, you're still connected. We're always connected. We're never separate from each other. So if you think about it, it's not that rare to hear someone talking about, hey, I had a visitation from this person who's been gone, or I had a dream or a vision of this person who's been gone, or or I've been communicating with beings that aren't here, beings that have passed away, or I've been receiving messages from, beings, I kind of want to go there, but I kind of don't, because it's a whole nother conversation, beings that aren't even human, or never had the human experience. So, and a lot of people have different stories of different things that they've experienced and they've gone through. And it's just so beautiful. If we can learn to listen to people with an open mind, without judgment, without saying, oh, this person is crazy, or, they've had a mental breakdown, or, something's off. Maybe, there's a, chemical imbalance. Maybe something's wrong with people. Instead of judging people, if you really listen to people and think about some things in life, you can imagine that, hey, this could possibly be true. This could potentially be very true, that this person has experienced this. So when we think of ourselves as energy and soul beings, is something like mediumship and being a psychic truly a gift, Or is this something that maybe that all souls can tap into? Maybe it's just the vibration that needs to change. Is it the frequency that needs to shift? You know, is it because that's a part of that person's soul purpose to be used as a vessel to channel or communicate from the higher realms, you know, to, you know, earth? You know, there's a lot of things to really take into consideration. You know, there are some things that have happened in people's lives that are unexplainable. You know, or how did you have a dream that this was going to happen before it happened? Or how did you know this person was, you know, going to do this at this time? Or how did you know so-and-so was going to contact you? You know, there's so many different things that people have experienced that are just, you know, we say, okay, that's weird, and we nudge it off, right? But these are things to think about, you know? We limit ourselves so much because we're in this physical, you know, vessel, that we forget that we are soul beings. We are living out a soul purpose, you know? We're living the human experience. We're learning while here on earth. You know, we're learning about compassion and love and forgiveness and healing and all of the emotions that we feel here on earth. But we often forget that, hey, if we're all connected, you know, we're all different, but we're all very much the same, you know? We're all energy. We're all connected. If that's, think about like a phone tower, you know, a tower of energy. Like we're all 5G. Like we're all this big. We're a part of this huge network of energy and like Wi-Fi, right? We're all connected. We're all trying to connect. Not trying. We are all connected to a source. Although a lot of people try to connect to something, people try to go to different religions or belief systems to try to connect, to feel that they are part of something, or to feel that there's some type of hope. But you've never been separate from anything. You know, you've always been connected. We've always been connected to each other. You've always been connected to source. Now, if you want to see source as God or whomever you believe in, that, you know, that's for you, you know, good for you. To each his own, right? But the whole point is that you are never separate. And if we are all energy and we are all soul beings, we should think about the fact that, hey, we might be able to communicate, not might, we are able to communicate with beings that are no longer in their physical vessel. Because why? Souls never die. Souls are infinite beings. We are infinite beings because we are energy and we are souls. Okay, so the physical body will die because the physical body has a limit. It's limited, right? We age, we get older. The body starts to get older and it starts to break down, right? But our souls don't break down. Our souls continue going. Our souls are limitless, you know? So this is the reason why I'm bringing this up is just, I was thinking to myself, I said, wow, you know, all these people who are gifted. I do this because, you know, I'm really starting to wonder, maybe it's not that we're gifted. Maybe it's the simple fact that somehow we're just more tapped into something or some type of frequency, or maybe we've just opened ourselves up more to communication with the higher realms. What if you just hear me out for a second, right? This is just an idea. What if we were all mediums? What if we're all mediums and we're all psychics here, right? And the only thing that's truly stopping us from opening this channel or opening this portal or door, whatever the heck, you know, you want to call it, is simple. It's as simple as belief, right? Believing and actually communicating and saying to yourself, hey, you know what? Souls never die. So let me actively call on, say, my grandfather or my grandmother or my mother or my father who's passed away. Let me talk to them real quick and say, you know what? You know, I wonder if you can hear me. You know, are you there? You know, kind of skeptical of all of this, but can you hear me? Can you show me a sign that your soul is still around? And now you might be saying to yourself, I'm talking to myself. This is stupid, right? But ask for a specific sign and stay on it. Stay consistent. And I'm curious to see what happens. But you have to believe. You have to truly believe, and you have to be open to seeing the different signs and the different things that come to you. or from other people, because sometimes people will relate a message to you because they're more open to, I guess, higher realms. They're more open to communication with beings that have passed on. So sometimes you'll have someone who has prophetic dreams, or who's a medium or a psychic, or has some type of clear ability, and they're able to communicate with you that, hey, I had a dream of your grandma, or I had a dream of your sister, or whoever has passed away, and they want to tell you this. That's your sign that, hey, they heard you. You know what I mean? If you pray, no matter what you pray to, who you pray to, what you believe in, but the simple act of prayer, and even the simple act of meditation, is acknowledging that you are energy and you are a soul being, and that there's more to just being being here, right? There's more to life than just being a physical being walking around here, trying to make ends meet and living life. There's more to it. The simple act of prayer and meditation will tell you that, hey, I'm tuning in or trying to tap into a deeper energy here, right? I'm trying to connect with a deeper energy. So I'm just saying, let's have more of an open mind with the way we see each other as soul beings, as energy, as being connected, and also the way we see those who have passed on. It's not to get people's hopes up, but it's the truth. Souls never die. Your physical body dies, but souls never die. So I'm just saying, this is where I want people to open their minds up more to the fact that those souls that you miss so much can still hear you. And to think of people who have spiritual gifts with more, look at them with compassionate eyes, Think of them as, okay, if this person can do this, right? Is it possible that this is something that other people can tap into? Maybe in a different form or a different way? If they could communicate with their mother or their uncle or a sister, cousin, whomever, or some people are pet mediums, they're pets, right? If they communicate with so-and-so and so-and-so, I wonder if I can communicate with so-and-so and so-and-so. It's just a thought, open your mind up to new reality, and new realities, which really aren't new, but just a new idea of it all. Yeah. Went on a rant, but I'm just saying, we're all connected. We've never been separate from each other. Never been separate from each other. And that in itself is empowering, right? That in itself is empowering. And I'm sure for people who have grieved anyone, right, or any being, whether it's a human or a pet, you're going to think to yourself, wow, this is a deep feeling. This is a deep thought to entertain, because if souls never die, then does that possibly mean that my soul could potentially meet this soul again? It triggers a lot of different thoughts within people, But my whole point is souls never die. They continue on. And honestly, you guys, before my mom passed, I didn't know what to believe. You hear all types of things. You hear about reincarnation. You hear about near-death stories. You hear about heaven and hell. You hear about all types of stuff. And, thinking of my mother passing wasn't something that I wanted to ever entertain, because who wants to entertain that? Although I had, warned my mother several times. I said, Mom, hey, I was crying. I was really scared because I had a dream of my mom in a casket. And I can't remember if that was actually a year she passed or a year before. And she said, oh, Taylor, my mother is Christian. You have to get rid of those negative thoughts. That's just the devil trying to mess with your thoughts, right? And I was like, you try to shake it off. Yeah, it's not real, right? Well, then the year of my mother's actual passing, I had a dream of my childhood dog, Harley, passing, and my mom passing within the same dream. And lo and behold, Harley passed away in August, and my mom passed away in October. So, and it wasn't the first time I had prophetic dreams, but it's just not a dream you want to come true. It's not something that you want to manifest or something to happen. But so my whole point to mention this to you guys, the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because before my mother passed away, I never really had a firm belief in what happens after life and if you could actually communicate with souls. Of course, I've had family members, I've had, people around me who've had different experiences with, with people visiting them in dreams or visiting homes, and those people had already, been deceased, And you start wondering, well, if they've been deceased all this time, how are they able to appear in your dream? How are they able to be in this home? Or how did they visit someone? You start thinking that and you're like, that's kind of strange. Or why am I having these dreams? It's kind of strange, right? After my mom passed away, and my mom and I are like this. We still are. My mom didn't see that coming. I didn't see it coming either. It happened so quickly. But the reason why I bring this up is because I was very numb after my mother passed. I don't remember many things that happened while my mom was dying. I don't remember a lot. I remember bits and pieces of different things. The time seems to just be kind of out of whack. And after my mom passed, I still was on this like autopilot where I was just moving. It felt very mechanical, where it's like I'm not thinking, I'm just here. I wasn't eating, you guys. I was highly depressed. I had already been depressed because I was a caregiver. I was taking care of my mom. And I stayed in the hospital. Whenever she was in the hospital, I stayed in the hospital. I'm not leaving her side. I would never leave her side until I had my own incident, which they considered to be shock. But I hadn't been eating, you guys. So I had kind of gotten weak and I was about to faint. I hadn't been eating anything. I hadn't been drinking anything while my mom was in the hospital. And not even afterwards. But I ended up being in the hospital while she was in the hospital. But anyways, the whole point of that is, even after my mom passed, I wasn't eating and drinking water. I was very weak. I was very skinny. I was very depressed. And then I became suicidal. And I was suicidal because there's this huge, it was just this weird feeling of numbness that takes over you. And you just you kind of feel like you're in shock, but yet you're numb, but then you kind of feel empty, There's just a lot. The best way I could describe it is the upside down. And if anyone's seen Stranger Things, there's like a dual reality, but it's upside down where it's so dark. It's like everything's happening in reality, but you see it with a different perspective. Like the vision is dark and gray and gloomy and distorted, where reality for everyone else, it's bright, it's beautiful, and they're taking charge of their day. But for me, in that space and time, grief was like that upside down world. And the Stranger Things, where it's like everybody's living their life, but I'm in shock that my mother's not here and she's gone. And I can't call her, I can't check on her, and I'm so used to taking care of her. Now I don't have anyone to take care of, and she's not here. And that's the love of my life. What the hell has just happened? And why did it happen? So then you get angry, right? So it's like different stages of grief. You go from being on autopilot, and those who are caregivers know that feeling. You're constantly on autopilot. You wake up in the middle of the night. You have insomnia because you're so used to taking care of someone and handling something. Or you've been in the hospital so long that you're used to the noises going off in the hospital, that your schedule has to change. You have to change at some point. And remember, you're on autopilot, right? You're still in this warped, weird reality of that this shit just happened, right? Like that this just happened. And you realize, wow, that did happen. And this is a new reality that's very heartbreaking and very cold and very lonely. At that time, you just feel like, how do I express this to anyone? who's going to understand this. And at the time, like I said, I was very suicidal. I had it all planned out. I knew what I was going to do. I had medication left over from palliative care, hospice care, I'm sorry. And I think that's such a, that I don't even want to bring that up, but that's such a cold thing that they give you medication because, they say, well, if this person's in pain, give them this and it'll ease it. But what it is it's, is it morphine? I can't remember what medication it is, but, or what drug it is, but they gives it to them and it makes the process go by quicker, speeds it up. And I'm not God. I will never manipulate life. And my mother, I talked with my mother and I said, Mom, are you in pain? Nope, not in pain. Okay, we're not doing it. My mother didn't have pain until that very day that she died. Maybe the day before that and the day she died, or she started experiencing pain, and she would tell me, hey, Taylor, but she had kind of lost consciousness, like she wasn't right mentally. It was kind of in between. And she was saying, Taylor, help me, save me, like, help me. And I knew, spiritually, deep down in my soul, I knew that she was being tugged in one direction as a soul, and that she wanted to stay here with me. I knew she wanted to stay here with me because the day my mom went in the hospital, she grabbed me. And she was so weak, but she grabbed me so strong. She said, Taylor, help me. And she was like, no, she was talking to someone. And I was like, okay, they're taking her. And what I mean by they is, I knew that angels, or whomever, you guys want to believe in, but for me, it was angels. I knew that they were telling her that she had to go, that she couldn't be here any longer, but she wanted to fight longer to be here with me. And my mother fought to the very end, you guys. Very, very, very end, kept fighting. But I knew it was a situation where you're kind of in between and you want to still be here, but your time is up. And when you sign that soul contract, your time is up. You got to go. And some people, it's not their time. Some people, it is their time. And it was my mother's time. And I just knew because I had experienced someone else in that same transition. This woman was way older, very respected. I consider her a grandmother figure. I watched her die. I watched her go through the shift mentally, and she talked about seeing AIDS and white aides, which were considered like angels. They were like angels visiting her, preparing her to let go. They were preparing her to move on to a higher realm, a higher, place. They were telling her that, hey, your time here on earth is coming to a finish. It's time to move on. But somehow these souls, they fight to be in their bodies a bit longer. And I think it's due to the people that they're leaving behind. So seeing this with my mom wasn't the first time. I had already seen this. And that's how I knew this beautiful spirit who was an earth angel, who was like a grandmother figure, her death, her whole situation, and seeing her leave her body prepared me in a way. And even seeing Harley, my childhood dog, die, it all prepared me for seeing my mom die. And it clicked to me that certain souls will fight to the very end if they can. I don't know how that works, but they fight to stay here. But you can't, when your soul contract is up, it's up and you have to go. So the reason I'm bringing this up is that I was very depressed because I knew my mom wanted to be here. And that spiritual side of me, the part of me that knew that, God is real and there's angels and, there's, whether you want to look at God as source, the creator, I knew there was the Holy Spirit. I knew that there were higher beings here. That part of me that believed in that. I wanted to get rid of those beliefs because I said, how could you do this? How could you take away such a beautiful person? God, how could you? There are people who are here on earth who don't deserve to be here, and she deserves to be here. You go through all those emotions. And it clicked to me that for some reason, that was my mother's life journey. That was specifically something that her soul signed up to go through. She was strong enough to handle all of that. And I signed up to go through this with her. She gave birth to me. I decided, or God decided for her to be my mother. I came through her. So this experience that we signed up to go through together, you start feeling like, well, how the hell does that work? And why would anyone sign up for something like that? But we do, and we do for several reasons, to understand emotions, to understand compassion, to understand, that we are more than death. Death is something that you can't run from. It's something that's set in stone, kind of like life, birth, right? There's always something new being brought into the world. There's always new births, new life. And with that duality comes death, endings. So when you start thinking of life in that manner, you start to have an interesting outlook that it's not death that we need to be worried about. And it's more of how you live your life. It's the emotions and the energy and what you do and how you affect people while you were here. And my mother, when I think about it, I was like, my mother, what does she have to learn? I was thinking to myself, I said, she did everything she could do. She was very positive, a very uplifting, bright, happy soul, very forgiving, very compassionate. And my mother wasn't always treated the right way by people in her life, especially by family members, and even my father and her partners, and even me, well, that's kind of normal, children and their parents get in arguments and stuff. But you think about all the people that she's had some type of conflict with, or has she done anything wrong? No. Unfortunately, this is a soul. Well, fortunately and unfortunately, but sometimes we try to find something negative in the person to say, wow, they kind of had this issue. Sometimes our human minds were like, well, they weren't perfect. They used to do this, they did that. My mother wasn't that person. My mother was the closest thing to perfect that I can find. And I'm not saying that just because she's my mother. But some people don't like their mothers. I absolutely adore my mother. And if she wasn't my mom, I would adore her and have high respect for her, because this was just a beautiful soul. Just a beautiful soul. And you have those beings here. They're earth angels, and they're here for a limited amount of time, and then they move on, right? Very pure, very forgiving, very loving. And she was always compassionate. So I thought about it. I was like, why would this soul go through? Like, why? And I was thinking to myself, well, maybe that's exactly why. She did what she was supposed to do while being here. She finished her purpose. Why would she need to be here any longer? She did what she had to do, right? I don't know why I just had a thought, but it's like going to the DMV, right? And you go to the DMV and you wait in line and you sit there and you wait for them to call your name all that time. After they call your name and you handle what you handle, do you go back and sit down and just sit there? No. You did what you were there to do and you leave, right? So I don't know. I think of this earth kind of as like a teaching ground. It's very much like a big school, and you do what you're supposed to do and you graduate. You level up, and there's no age. We put a strong emphasis on age. Like, you have to, no, you don't die until you're old, and that's not true. You see children and all types of people who pass away from different things, and children are innocent and pure. They don't have any bad karma. They haven't done anything here to create bad karma in this lifetime, right? So you think about it, it's like, wow, what if they come here to learn? Or is it that they were teaching a lesson to their parents or the people around them, to see with the eyes of compassion, to see with the eyes of love, to understand that we are limitless and infinite souls, but we are here only for a temporary time. So these are all thoughts that were going through my head. But mind you, I'm depressed. I just lost my mom. F that. That was my mindset, right? Who cares? My mom's gone, and why do it have to be my mom? I don't care about soul contracts. I don't even know if I believe in any of that anymore, So that was my mindset. Like, I was just like, I'm done. I have no reason to be here. She's not here. My motive, my drive was her. I wanted to please my mom. I wanted my mom to be happy. You're a kid. you just feel like, oh, I'm gonna accomplish this, so I'm gonna graduate, and then I'm gonna go tell my mom that I graduated, and then we're gonna feel this happiness and cheer together, and then that will give a feeling of gratitude and a feeling of, gratification. That's the word I'm looking for, gratification, and it will just feel good, right? But when you go through a period of grief, like right when it happens, you don't know how to feel. But some people don't talk. Some people ignore it. Some people are in denial. People handle grief in different ways. But the reason I'm bringing this up is that I was very depressed, and my mom came to me. I had been calling on her, and I had received no message, no nothing at all. And one day I had it planned out and everything, and I fell asleep. I don't even know like how I fell asleep so suddenly, but I fell asleep, and I remember waking up and going to the restroom and looking in the mirror, and I heard her clearly. And what she said to me was, "I did not want this for you." And it was so scary because when I looked in the mirror, it's like I could see her through my eyes. Now, mind you, I resemble my mother, but I could hear her clearly. It was very stern, and I heard her say, "I did not want this for you." And then I heard her say, "I did not battle cancer all of those years and quit." So basically what my mom was trying to get me to see is, I never quit. I battled cancer all those years and I never quit. Like, kind of like you didn't think that was hard for me enough to go through that. I feel that in that moment, what my mom was trying to get me to see is that I fought that long and I battled that long to be here and to live a happy life, but most importantly, to be here with you. So it's like, don't sacrifice your life because of this. I'm already going, like I'm sacrificed. Like, I'm not saying it in a creepy way, like a cult way. But the whole point is, the reason why I say sacrifice is that she worked her ass off and she did everything to make sure that she could take care of herself and her child. So to see that her child was contemplating and about to follow through with suicide, just to be with her after she put all this work in on earth to make sure that her child was secure, it's kind of like, what are you doing? Like, no, I left this, I gave you the baton, you're supposed to keep running. Like, you don't just, stop in the middle of a race. This is a relay race. I gave you the baton, keep going. It's that energy, right? So in that moment when my mom came to me briefly there, it shook me. Something in me flipped, like, oh shit. It was very stern. It was like your parents doing this to you, like, let me talk to you, come to the side, let me talk to you. And in that moment I realized that was my mom speaking. I can hear my mom. Oh my god, I can hear her. That was her. What the hell, right? When all those days, and I can't remember if that was in November, I can't remember what month that happened, but it had been some time and it just felt so empty. I was like, she snapped me out of it because she knew that I was going to follow up with it. I had already told my mom that if anything were to happen to her, I would probably kill myself because I loved her so much and I couldn't imagine life without her. So we had already had discussions about this, before, and she would always say, no, you have a life to live. And in that moment, I think she knew, she's serious. I have to snap her out of it. So I don't know how if souls need permission to do things like this. I don't know. But she came through and something happened where my angels really, they just pushed me. It's almost like I felt like they pushed me back into my body. And I don't want to say that, that sounds creepy. I'm trying to figure out a good way of saying it. My mind frame, my soul was numb. I was numb and I was ready to move on. And I would have traded lives with anyone. That's how I felt. Like, all these people want to be here. I don't want to be here. I want to be with my mom. Let's trade. Hey, God. Can we do a switcheroo here? Somebody who actually wants to be here and live, and somebody who wants to be with their mom in, heaven or wherever, that's where my mind was. I was like, just numb. But something triggered me when she came to me and she said that. It's like it was a jolt of energy. And then after that, all the gifts that I had originally prayed for to go away, because trust me, I was having prophetic dreams for a long time. And I did have a visitation from one soul back in 2010 that I did mention to my mom and my dad. And then I had started seeing different beings, like spirits, but I blocked it out. And I always prayed to God to remove. I don't want to have dreams of things before they happen. I don't want to have visions of things before they happen. I don't want to see these things. Remove it from me. And I remember my aunt telling me that she once prayed the same thing, because my aunt was able to see people who had passed away. And she didn't tell that to everyone. And it clicked to me that I wasn't the only one that had gifts, and even on my dad's side, my dad had visions and different stuff, and different people in my family, my mom's side, had dreams. And it just clicked to me that, hey, multiple people have different gifts, but it's just been hush hush, because you're going to think, hey, if I say this too loud, people are going to think I'm crazy, or who's going to believe me, or I'm in this religion and people don't believe in that. So it started clicking to me, hold on, this isn't too out of the box. Even though you've prayed for these things to go away, it's here full throttle again. It's here even stronger. And in that moment, after hearing from my mom, it clicked to me like, oh shit, like there's a higher reason to be here. Like, it gave something back to me. And I don't know, like life, it gave life back to me in a way. But after that happened, my gifts were, I don't know how to explain it, triggered more, if that makes sense. The things that I already had just like accelerated, or it got bigger. It just got more intense, had more dreams of different things happening with different people, visions, started seeing different spirits and beings in communication, and channeled messages and different communication coming in from higher realms, from different people, different souls who have passed away, and recent and old. And mostly what these souls have to say, it's interesting, because they always leave me with something uplifting. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them, they'll give a little bit about their life. But what's big is most of them, they go through the emotion, the feelings of what's happened to them before they've died and when they've died. But the actual story of their death isn't as important for them. And I think that's interesting to mention, that these souls, when they pass on, they're more worried about their people that they've left behind, the family and the friends, and the safety of the family and friends. It's almost like they reach a certain level where it's like, yeah, I'm in between. It's like an in-between realm energy when souls, especially for new souls, when they first pass away, especially if it was tragic, if it was violent or traumatic, they're still kind of confused as to, oh, this is it. Like, I'm not in that body anymore. Like, we're moving on. For some of them, they have an initial shock and an initial energy of, I still want to be here. I don't want to go. But at a certain point, they do move forward, and they do move on, and they do transcend. But when they do get to that state of acceptance, because that's what it is, they usually become more, how do I explain it, more open-minded. They start looking at things with more compassion, and they can explain to you the emotion and feelings that they went through when that happened. And they can talk to you a little bit about the death or what happened, but they will not stay there. It's like their focus isn't on what killed them or how they died. Their focus is on all of this led up to me now being wherever I am. And I'm now worried about those who are left behind. It's always messages of love for the people that they've left behind and how those people made them feel and different memories that make them happy. So when you start to look at it that way, you start to think, so wait, you mean to tell me that when they died, they're not thinking about what so-and-so did and so-and-so did? Well, sometimes they do mention, hey, this happened, I wasn't so proud of it, or this person did this, but they don't spend so much time dwelling on, this happened. No, they're not negative. It's almost like that's just not real. It's almost like, yeah, this happened, but it was supposed to happen that way. And it's like, wait, what? How do you think, this was supposed to happen that way? They did this to you. And it's like, yeah, but that's the way it was supposed to happen. So when you think of things like that, you start to say, well, what the fuck? Like, I'm being honest with you guys. Like, you start to think like, wow. And the reason why is because these are human emotions. These are human emotions. Our souls kind of already have an idea what we're coming here to do. When we leave this body, and the initial state of leaving our body, we still have that energy of, wait, hold on. Where am I going? But you come to a state of acceptance, and you remember who you are and why you came down here in the first place. And now that you're back to where you belong, you realize that there is a bigger purpose. You see things from a higher perspective. Now you're just trying to calm those that you've left behind. So it's really interesting. Like I said, different things started to pop off for me where I was able to communicate with different beings that have passed away. And it specifically started with a soul that was murdered. All he wanted to do was communicate his love and appreciation for family and friends. And he came through and he helped me with my mom, because at the time I was having nightmares, PTSD, like trauma, flashbacks of different things that had happened and things that never happened in the hospital. And maybe it was just fear. Maybe it was just, maybe it was lower energies, negative energies trying to, weigh on me, because I do believe in duality. I believe there's positive energy and I think there's negative energies. So there's always duality and, in this world. But I felt that there was something trying to create fear and chaos within me, because I was finally trying to gain some type of positivity. And at the time, I was just having a lot of scary visuals and fears if my mom was okay. And this spirit came through and let me know that my mom was very much okay and that she was all right. And it started with that spirit. And what I mean by started, it had started after my mom's passing. That whole journey being amplified started with that soul. But my reminder, back in 2010, I had already had my first encounter that I can recall, because things were happening when I was a kid, but you block it out. You don't want to see it. I was that kid that didn't like sleeping in the dark. I was always with my mom because I saw things. I was afraid, so a lot of things that happened in my childhood, it starts to make sense to me now that I'm an adult. But anyways, it clicked to me that, wow, we really are infinite beings. The fact that I don't know this soul and this soul came to me to communicate this to me, it blew me away. And he also communicated it to me about certain things that, he wished he could have expressed more while here on earth to certain people. And then other souls came through with different messages, and some of them had to do with their life, and some of them it was just inspirational and motivational to keep going. And it clicked to me that we were cue the corny High School Musical song, we were all in this together. We were all actually connected, and souls are always rooting on other souls. It's like we all know, okay, so-and-so's going down to earth. They have this purpose to fulfill out. Let's see them go through it. It's almost like they're rooting you on. Imagine the heavens, or whoever you believe in. Some people don't believe in heaven, but imagine higher realms in the heavens, right? All those souls who've passed on, your ancestors and your angels. And even those you didn't know, they're all in like the stands, right? And there's this big race going on, and a bunch of people are running, and they're on their marathon, they're just taking off, or they're, you know, swimming, or they're living out this lesson, and these souls are looking on at them, and they're rooting them on, you know, cheering them on from the sidelines, which are like the higher realms, from the bleachers, right? And here you are, so focused on your, you know, your race, or your lap, or whatever the heck you're doing, which is your life, right? And some people pay attention to the fact that there are people rooting them on, and that's their motivation. And some people, it distracts them, you know, they don't think about it at all, you know. So the whole point, the reason why I'm mentioning that is that's it's symbolic. That's a metaphor of, this is how they're looking on at souls here on earth, the souls who have already transcended and I mean, not transcended, ascended, all the souls that have already experienced this life and have died and they've moved on. They're looking on to their children and their children's children and their sisters and their brothers and their, you know, whomever else is here, and they're rooting for them to finish out their life purpose, to live a good life, live fully, because, you know, they know the reason why we're here. They remembered, you know. So while we're here, we're over here like saying, oh, well, I got to find myself and I don't know what I'm doing. But it's not about finding yourself. It's truly about remembering who you are at a soul core, who you are as an infinite being. You know, this matrix, and when I say matrix, I'm talking about the system that we're in when it comes to, you know, having to pay bills and taxes, and this monopoly game that we're in, that confuses people and it distracts people. Media, all of this stuff that we have here is just a big distraction from why we're truly here, right? Because this is the world's game. Remember, you are not of this world. This is the world's game here. So you're thrown here and you're like, whoa, I got to maneuver being, you know, in this world. And, you know, you're taught, you know, for some people, we're easily programmed as humans, as soul beings in a human body. When you come here as a baby, you're molded into whomever's taking care of you, your parents or your grandparents. You're molded into what they believe, right? It's continuous. So if your parents were Christian, you're brought up Christian, and you think, oh, God is the way, Jesus Christ is the way, right? And the same for people who are brought up in Buddhism, right? So just, you're kind of molded into this reality, this world and its beliefs and the way things happen, right? These rules. So you get so, you know, kind of thrown in with all of these different layers of teachings and programmings, right? That you really don't have time to really think for yourself until you are an adult and you start questioning the things that resonate with you and what doesn't resonate with you. So the reason why I bring that up is just remembering that you are a soul being at core, no matter what is taught to you or whatever is programmed into you. You are a soul being, and this is about truly remembering why you are here, not what people think you're here for and what you should be doing and how you should be doing it. But this is your life purpose. This has to do with your soul mission. This is about you remembering who you are as a soul being, okay? And connecting with why you came here. You. Not what other people are saying you should do, but why are you here, and what is your soul purpose and your soul mission while you're here in this lifetime. So it's just about remembrance and being in alignment and connecting more with your soul, you know? So I think I'm going to end this subject here because I can go on a rant some more, but I think I proved my point. What I'm trying to say is, let's be more open-minded towards each other and each other's experiences, and more open to the fact that souls never die, and that you can very well communicate with souls who have passed away, and not in some type of culty, creepy way that they show in movies and you get scared. Oh my God, they're doing this to call upon a spirit. No, it's a simple fact that just like you can use your phone to communicate with someone, to call someone. The same way you can pray to whatever deity or God you believe in, you can always call upon, your mother or your father or your brother or your sister or your wife or your husband and say, I miss you. I love you. Be there, be here for me. Be there for me. I could use a hug right now, or I miss you. I miss your touch. Can you give me a sign? Can you help me? I don't know who to trust. I don't know what to believe right now. Can you help me? Can you give me a sign? And some people ask for specific signs, some won't. Angels and, spirits will communicate with you usually via frequency, but they'll find different ways to communicate with you where they know that you will understand. It could be an inside joke that you guys had with each other. It could be literal you hearing that come through, a joke, or it could be someone communicating something with you. It could be a song, it could be a movie, it could be a butterfly, it could be, anything that happens where you connect that to that person. So I'm just telling you guys to be open-minded, and I feel that we are all gifted. I feel that we all have these different abilities. We just have to tap into it. Love you guys.